Running.
Throughout my life, I would go out for, runs just for fun, but never took it seriously until I was over 40, and then that's when I trained for my first marathon.
Well, I wasn't sure about joining the track team last year, but since all my friends were doing it, I thought it'd be a fun social thing to do, and it ended up being really great.
I didn't really get into racing per se until I was 57 in 2007, and at that time I did my first 5K, and went a few months later did a 10K, then a 10-miler, then a half marathon, and I actually did two, and I did a marathon that same year.
I really started running freshman year, like at the beginning of freshman year, because I wanted to do well in soccer.
In 8th grade, and it was at my parents' recommendation when I didn't make the Westland softball team.
I first started running, competing when I was 8.
Several different people coming from different backgrounds with various skill levels and abilities. All of them possess different goals and aspirations, with running serving as the sole connector between them. Here, several people with a range of ages share some of the benefits of running they encounter on a day-to-day basis and the significance of running to them personally.
It's a good way for me to manage my frustrations in life. If I didn't run, I really don't think anyone would want to be near me. So it's a good way, especially when I run with friends and can just talk over problems that are day-to-day. They're usually not any big things, just the usual annoyances.
Running's it can be a very social sport, even though it's very individual, but I've learned to really love it.
Every time I run, even if I don't enjoy or I don't want to go out on a specific day because I'm feeling nasty and it's rainy or something, I may not want to run, but I force myself to go, and then after a while I feel pretty good. Especially when I'm done with the running, I say, hey, I feel pretty good. It elevates your blood pressure and pulse, and speeds up the adrenalines and endorphins, and you really actually feel quite good after it. And of course, you can also, when you run, there's a runner's high.
It really is pretty addictive. If I don't run, I get pretty cranky and kind of feel gross. It really, once you get into it, it's sort of something you just want to keep doing, and even though it hurts and it's hard, for some reason you can't keep away from it.
It's an opportunity for everyone to better themselves and feel great about their performance. And a person that's in the back of the pack that can never actually win the race, but if they run a 30-second PR, the feeling that they get from that, it's almost like for them just as good as if they had won the race. And I think it's rare in running that it's rare in a sport that you can have that opportunity.
Apart from the normal health benefits, running has helped many overcome health issues and other obstacles in life.
I was diagnosed with cancer when I was 37 and had surgery, and the kids were little, so basically just running around trying to tend them. Then I had a reoccurrence about 4 years later, and that actually took several years of treatment between surgeries and chemo, and we had to travel to Switzerland for treatment options that weren't offered in this country. So through all of that, I kept running, and I honestly think running was such an impact on how I could deal with all of it, because just feeling strong and healthy that I could get through whatever, because you think if you can run a marathon, you can probably get through the day. So it helped just mentally too to feel that I'm capable of overcoming the little obstacles. And I'm sure, just physiologically, running really did keep me strong. So when I had a surgery or a treatment, I think it was that much easier for me to bounce back, to get back to my baseline, and not feel that I was being overwhelmed by the disease process.
But since I'd been active all my life, I'd kind of gotten away with not having any real difficulties until Like I said, I was 54 years old, and by that time it had clogged up too much to work well. And so they took it out and put in an artificial valve, a bovine valve, bovine tissue valve. And it worked really well. I started running. 3 years later, I started running in 57, and I'd done several marathons. I was doing real well. And then in 2010, I started running my regular routine, but I kept getting slower and slower and slower. And I couldn't figure out what was going wrong. And to make a long story short, I basically found out that the valve had already worn out. I'd originally been told that the valve should last 10 to 20 years. This was 5 years later. It had worn out. So I continue to run. I'm doing 5Ks and 10Ks and doing these training programs, just running about an hour a week on the weekends and a couple of half-hour sessions during the week, and so far no problem.
Individual accomplishments range from improving a personal time, just getting out the door every day, or even winning an NCAA championship and making it to the Olympics.
It wasn't until my junior year that I was on a spring break training trip. We're just working on some different things, working on strength. And my coach said, all right, I want you to run the 800 just for strength training. And I jumped in it and ran a really good time. Like the time at that point, it was early spring. But it was maybe one of the top 5 times in the country. And, I beat a couple girls from Villanova, which was like the dominant middle distance school in the country. And I thought, wow, we both thought, well, if I could do this my first time running it, this could be a good event for me. So I stuck with it, and actually then later on that season I won the national championships.
However, you don't have to be an Olympic star to enjoy the many benefits of running.
One of the benefits of running is that you keep improving. As long as you continue to do it and push yourself a little farther every time, you find that you can do things, you can overcome obstacles that may have at one time seemed very difficult.
People don't necessarily think of running as a team sport, but it really is going through it, going through pain and pushing through it with your friends. That's a bond that can't be broken.
I mean, it's certainly taught me about hard work and pushing yourself beyond what you thought you could do and not being afraid to dream of doing more, and then taking that challenge of trying to become something that you're not sure you can become.
When you're with other people, it's very encouraging, and you just get into the pace of it. And anyone can do it. I mean, it's great exercise.
Once you get that mental toughness, then I think it does carry over into other aspects of life. Because if you can plow through that, you can plow through just about anything.
It's taught me a lot about conquering my own fears, about recognizing when fear is holding me back.
I think that it's an experience everyone should have because it helps your overall fitness.
When I think of the people who tell me, oh, I can't even run a mile, I'm like, well, if I quit during my first mile just because I didn't feel comfortable, I'd never get any running done. So, but I think that carries over in life when you start something and it's just not going the way you want or it's not comfortable for you, but you do realize if you stick with it, you can get, the better outcome.
And I love it. It's part of my routine. I hope to do it forever.